Anna. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay, thanks.
So, I would love to start out with what you thought the spring of 2020 was going to be, sort of what exhibitions you had planned, what projects you were working on. How did you see this spring rolling out?
Yeah, if I cast my mind back, I think I was really optimistic about this spring. I've been really up and down with my creative work since having a child, and this was leading up to the spring a really good time for me creatively. I had been working on a series of really big pieces, which was exciting, and I put work in a show here in Asheville at Tracy Morgan Gallery that opened like a week before everything started shutting down. And so I was excited to show in Asheville because I don't get to do it that often, and it's a really fun show. And that's a beautiful gallery space. And then I also had a couple other sort of informal local projects, and then a show coming up at an art center in Michigan, also sort of in the late spring, that would be opening probably in the next few weeks, which of course is also canceled. But so I thought like I had a lot going on,
Yeah.
and I was working big and excited about it, and
Wow.
excited to see the response. So yes.
Yeah. How are you? How are you faring right now? Or have you been able to, do your own sales or work in some other way at the moment?
I did a little bit when things first kind of shut down, and I realized none of my shows were going to happen, and I had applications out for grants which were all put on hold.
Right.
And my husband is also self-employed and had to completely close his work. So in the very beginning, things felt kind of horrifyingly desperate.
Yeah.
And I did have some friends and also some family offer us loans, which is a great resource to have. And I know not everybody has it, but I felt like the last thing in the world I want is to borrow a bunch of money that I'm eventually going to have to pay back, and who knows when or how things will improve. So I was feeling pretty nervous, and I did post some stuff on social media, and I did manage to sell a bunch of small pieces. I mean, my own community, can't afford major artworks, but can afford, a lot of them can afford smaller pieces. So a lot of people came through. So that kind of tided us over in the beginning. And then since then, I was successful in getting a small business grant.
Good.
Yeah, and some eventually the pandemic unemployment for self-employed people. So we're like holding steady
Good.
and doing okay at the moment.
See, the Center for Craft also just posted a grant for.
I did, and it's actually really good timing because I am working on a project that I'm very excited about.
Good.
So I'm thinking about trying to formalize it a little bit for
Good.
that application. Yeah.
Awesome.
We'll see.
So how has this? I mean, I know you have a child as well. How has this changed your creative practice? Have you been able to create new work in this time, or are you just sort of in survival mode?
Yeah, it's kind of in between. Like I have this big canvas that I had started working on, was going to be like my final piece for my show in June, and that has just totally stalled out. And partly it's hard to focus and find the time and the space. Partly it's like a little bit old news or something, And the other thing is my work situation is really kind of screwy. So my husband closed his office to avoid paying rent for who knows how long. And so all of his equipment and his desk and everything is packed into where I usually work. So it's really tight.
Yeah.
So that makes it hard too. And it's funny, I've been really envious of him because when he isn't able to do his work, he's been practicing guitar and getting really good at it.
Oh, nice.
And he just hangs out like with my kid or whatever and does that. And I'm like, why am I not finding that kind of project? Like something I could do in a mobile way and like just kind of dip in and out of. And I finally did come up with this idea of these little booklets to sort of send out and have people send
Cool.
complete a little bit and send on. So you may be getting one of those.
Oh, nice.
And,
Yay. I would love that.
yeah, I'm into just having something that feels relevant now, a little bit
Yeah.
connecting. But overall, things are sort of like, there's difficult things. My kid is home all the time, and that's hard. But I'm really grateful that he is old enough to read, because that's so big that he can do something that absorbs him, and I don't feel compromised about, like, if I was letting him watch TV all day. And the other thing is, even though I feel like he's missing out on so much, we do have a couple of neighbors that he's able to kind of talk to from the sidewalk. And we're all here together, which is really nice. Normally life is busy. My husband's working a lot. Either I'm dragging the kid around to activities, or, scrambling to work while he's at school. So, like, everybody being here is actually kind of beautiful in a way. So it's a mixed bag.
Yeah. Do you find yourself turning towards maybe anything new, or maybe not new, maybe the same as always, but for sort of inspiration or motivation, or even just self-soothing? Are you turning to anything for that right now?
Are you talking specifically about creative work, or just life in general?
Anything, anything from baking, yoga.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, in a very typical way, I have got my sourdough going. I've been making bagels and English muffins. And it is funny how, like, just this huge segment of the population, we're all finding, like, that's a much easier project to tackle on a given day than our own work and our own minds and thoughts. And
so just one last question. How do you think that this moment is going to change kind of the cultural landscape of Asheville, of Western North Carolina, for the future moving forward?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I mean, I don't know that I've thought about it so clearly. I do feel lucky again to live in a place like Asheville, because I feel like I know there's going to be places that, are just totally decimated. And I feel like here people are really going to make the effort to support local businesses and local artists. So that's good. On the other hand, I don't feel like there's a lot of economic research. I see even just in the art world, there's all these grants in New York, and I know there's millions more artists as well, but even in North Carolina, different cities have these funds specifically to support artists. I haven't really seen anything like that here. There is the one Buncombe thing, but that's not for artists. That's like, I did talk to them, they'll pay your electric bill if you're like totally out of money, but that's that's a different kind of thing. So I don't know what's going to happen with that balance. I think people care and will try, but then there may not be that much that people can do. But it also seems like, like real estate is booming. I guess everybody still is wanting to come to Asheville. I don't know.
Surprised me. Yeah. But
I think it'll probably be a version of the same trajectory we're on, which is that it's booming on the one hand, and there's people, working class people, struggling. Artists are struggling still,
Yeah. Well, thank you again for doing this interview. So good to see you. And let us know, where can folks find you right now? Where can they find your work?
Well, the archive of my work is on my website, which is my, navalubelski.com. I'm hoping as I get this new project out, I'm going to devote a page to archiving this project. But what I'm doing is, let me show you a tiny example, is these little origami booklets. And the idea is you'll get instructions on how to make one, but I'm going to send you one with one page completed, and then you can add to it and send it on and make a new one to send out. So anyway,
like an exquisite corpse, kind of.
Yes, kind of like that. So anyone who wants to try out that project with me can email me also. Awesome. My email's on my website.
Awesome. Well, I'll be doing that for sure.
Okay, awesome.
All right. Thanks again, Nava. Take good care. Stay healthy.
You too. Thanks. Bye, Anna.
Bye.